So then we're going to begin with talking about Xenoblade Chronicles X, or Xenoblade X as it's called in Japan. I have had the privilege of being able to play roughly 10 hours of it. Don't speak a lick of Japanese.
Oh, you're playing Japanese?
Well, you have to. That's the only way to do it right now. There's nothing's localized.
Did you team up with anybody or just alone? Lone Otero.
So it is. It's a bit. I haven't gotten to the portions where you can team up in multiplayer battles, but I have reached past the portion where people playing other copies of Xenoblade, copies of their characters, sort of find their way into your game. Like,
okay.
You can call it. I think the term I've heard it called is like mingle player, where essentially, someone else who's played their character at a certain level with certain stats and weapons is an NPC
AI,
that you can walk up to and recruit to join your team. So you could actually, instead of just having story characters in your party at all times, you can fill a party with NPC characters instead you met on the internet who are roughly around the same level as you. So that's really cool.
So very Drivatar-ish, right? Like you get the sense that there are other people out there, but they're not actually in your game.
Yeah,
right?
they are not. And there's another way that they sort of play around with this idea too, but not very Drivatar, but still very unique, is that if you sign up to join what they call a squad. So let's say, for example, different people playing the game, basically we all get a set of the same objectives. So it'll say, hey, it'll show 5 monster portraits at the bottom. It's like, okay, kill 10 of these, kill 8 of these, kill 6 of these, kill 5 of these, etc. Every version of those monsters that we kill, those counters diminish. If we kill them all within the time frame underneath that's permitted, we all get a bonus for that. We all get like rewards and whatnot. It's really cool. It's very different rather than having you just party up as a way to also play that game. So that's pretty cool.
I've only seen you play, I walked by a few times when you were playing the beginning of the game, and we kept on all singing the Jurassic Park theme. Whenever you like come around a corner, there's some giant alien beast brontosaurus, brachiosaurus thing. So is that, I mean, how did the game kind of end up being after those moments of like being introduced to the world and everything that we've already seen?
It's interesting. It's very different from Xenoblade Chronicles, the Wii game, in that the main character is an avatar, is a blank slate. You create a character from the beginning, and that character, it's odd because you pick a voice that you hear in cutscenes. That you hear in battles. You'll hear your character sort of shout and say things. But in cutscenes where they ask you a question, you have no voice. You pick one of 2 predetermined responses to the situation, and then everyone just moves on. So it's very almost Zelda in that way. That
wait, the other characters don't answer, or they do answer?
They do answer.
Oh,
they
so
all
it's
respond,
more like the BioWare, the older BioWare games were like that, right?
Yes, like KOTOR, for example, did that, I believe. The main character in KOTOR had no voice.
Yeah.
But no, it's very interesting. I mean, it's from the moment it starts, once you clear the Jurassic Park cutscene that we joked about, it is huge. You start out, so it's Planet Mira. The first zone you explore is Primordia, and you basically have free reign to do what you want to do, meaning that you can continue to explore. Once you reach a certain point, you can continue to explore and fill out the hexagon-shaped spaces on the gamepad. Yeah. And the benefit of doing that is fast travel. So there are like dozens of fast travel nodes sprinkled all over this world, including in the main hub area, New Los Angeles. So when you're doing subquests, when you're doing main quests, it's very easy to see on the map where they want you to go once you've explored that territory. So you can just fast travel out, do the thing you need to do, fast travel back, speak to the person you have to cash in the quest, or do the next, sort of step on that quest line. So that's really cool. It's very sort of conscious of like, how can we quickly get you through all this stuff? Strangely enough, though, if you want to improve loading times, you have to download, I believe it is up to, and I say up to because you can choose, there are 4 categories, but it is up to 14 gigs of additional data installed to your Wii U.
Jeez.
That
installed to your hard drive.
To your hard drive to speed up loading, because if not, you are staring at some loading screens a bit longer, and the difference is noticeable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
14 gigs.
But it's customizable in that, just to explain, it is customizable in that you choose, okay, do you want to just install the overworld pack? Do you want to install the enemy pack?
I remember some games that have done that before. I'm trying to think of which one it was, but you can kind of choose how much you want to install.
Yeah, like I didn't have enough space to put it all, so I think I sacrificed the character avatar pack and just checked off everything else, and that was like 10 gigs still.
You're already out of space on your hard drive?
import system, yes. I do actively buy stuff from time to time from Japan, especially when games come out early, or there's a virtual console release there that doesn't come here. But virtual console takes up nothing. It's more the bigger Wii U games that kill me.
Right. I mean, good if you're into Xenoblade, then good idea to invest in a $100 hard drive, right?
Yes.
There are a bunch out there that you can use.
Yeah. No, but so yeah, the sort of the gorgeous open world. Going back to that for 1 second though, you can just wander into the next continent whenever. Doesn't matter. If you walked as far east or as far west as you can, you find a cave, you walk through it, you're there.
That's cool.
It's crazy. Like,
That's great.
It's just the amount of freedom is pretty cool. I will complain about a few things though. One, character art.
The faces are weird. Yeah.
That's hard to do.
You can customize your guy to look however you want, but they still look a little creepy. Yeah.
Elma looks absolutely creepy. She's the first character you meet in the game. That's one that catches me off guard. The second thing that I'm trying to remember.
It's weird because I don't think I've ever met anyone who said, I love the way the faces look, which to me suggests like maybe somebody should have listened
and Xenoblade,
to people.
To some degree, had the same problem. There were some characters that looked okay, and there were some characters that looked absolutely awful. Like there's a character in the opening cutscene of the original Xenoblade Wii. He's a dude wearing like claws on his hands. I don't quite remember his name, but he just looked dreadful. Like you're just like, even if this is running on like a PS2 or a GameCube type spec, it still looked really bad.
Wow. So if there's anybody listening or watching and you love the character designs, let us know why. You're wrong, but let us know why. Just email nvc@ign.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still haven't.
The guy in charge of the faces must be like a really, really, really sweet guy.
Yeah,
he must be.
You know?
There's, I mean, it is. You can imagine that being no issue at all in Japan, right? Like when the game comes out. Like I mean, they have so many different art styles, and some of them are not.
Look, you have to, as a developer, you have to focus on what your strengths are, what you want to focus on, right? And for this game to be successful, the faces don't really matter.
Well, faces don't, and animation actually doesn't matter either to some degree. Like very, very stiff-looking animations. Some of it still looks motion captured, but a lot of it still just animations that don't blend very well, and it is sort of noticeable. You walk around in the world and you see the creatures sort of stomping around. That's easy. So most of the creatures have a very distinct way of moving, and it looks fine. You go into town and you just see a lot of just, I don't know, very just stiffly animated characters. But that's a bit of a letdown.
So, like, you know, the world I saw, it looked really cool. I mean, it definitely looked alive. You look around, you can see things in the air flying. You can see the giant aliens walking around. But it's a little different from a game like Skyrim, where you see kind of like they have this AI where the creatures interact. Sometimes, and the characters, right? Sometimes that works out well in Skyrim, where you're like, man, that's awesome. That thing just attacked that thing. Sometimes, like, something flies into the sky is never seen again. How does it work in this game?
See, I had a different point, so when you took it there, I think no, because I was prepping this point of, I think one of the things that it has going for it very much is that, do you remember Crackdown?
Yeah.
One of the most fun things about Crackdown was traversal and like just running and jumping and sprinting. I feel like and getting orb, and that was the most
right. It was like playing Pac-Man, like modern Pac-Man.
So this game has sort of, it taps into that, I think accidentally, because your character can vault like further than most Olympic vault jumpers should ever.
And they run fast too when you see the game. Yeah.
And eventually, which I haven't gotten to yet, you get a Skell. One of the mechs that they have, and that even further enhances like that really cool feel of, it's just fun to run around in that game, and it's very rare. I don't think I've seen a game since Crackdown that it feels so good to do that. Even though with Crackdown, I feel like the orbs were driving me more to want to explore. This one, it's more about filling out the hexagon map
which
on the
can also be really, really cathartic. I love that in games, right, where they let me just basically kind of paint in the lines, right, and kind of just. It goes back to like this innate thing I think maybe we have since like preschool or kindergarten, right? Of just like wanting to fill out that map, right?
It's like tapped into that too. Just talking to the different. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, a lot of open like Assassin's Creed. You do you climb the tower to fill in a portion of the map. Like Forza, you drive the roads to fill them in, and then like I end up getting lost in that too.
Yeah, but with Assassin's Creed, I think the thing that inevitably gets to me is that it does feel like a repetitive action, whereas in something like this, it doesn't quite feel that way. Although it is strange to me that when you go up to these frontier spots that you sort of have to mash a button to fill in a bar, and then boom, 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 you have all these colors popping on your gamepad.
Is it possible to play it gamepad only?
Yes, it is. You can actually play it on gamepad only, although I have not checked how to then use fast travel. I need to kind of mess around with that a little more. because that's always on the second screen, then that wouldn't be there as a result.
So you haven't answered my question, though. Like, how does the world and the creatures, how does it feel? Is it more like a kind of a traditional JRPG, like the old school games where, like, you can see the enemies and you get close and then it becomes a battle scene? Or how does it work? And do the creatures react to you and all that?
Great question. So it depends on the creature, first of all. So some creatures, you can tell from the iconography. If it has a red eye by its... So first of all, they tell you every level of every enemy. So if you're running up to an enemy and it's level 2, or you're running up to an enemy and it's level 38, you will clearly see that. But what you need to be really aware of is this creature going to be aggroed if I get close? And that's where they use icon to communicate that to you. So you'll be running around and you go, okay, that is a level 32 thing. It will crush me if it turns around right now. So it turns into this little metagame of, well, but I really want to get to that side of the field. So you trying to figure that out. That said, though, some folks who pass by my desk have, expressed feedback that one of the things they don't understand is that kind of like in World of Warcraft, when an enemy takes a swing at you and necessarily animations don't sync up and all of a sudden you die because it took off crazy damage. That seems to happen in this game.
It's not this one-for-one, right?
Yeah, one-for-one thing. And I think if you're going in expecting that, you should recalibrate those expectations.
But for the monsters, like what you see is what you get, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
Or in other words, like you go into an encounter, they're not adding more, or you're not breaking away to another scene. It's all happening in the open world seamlessly.
It is all happening in the open world seamlessly. Great. The only other disappointment I have with that though is that none of the monsters ever attack each other, and I feel like that's that last bit of the dynamic puzzle that would totally sell this open world to me even more. Like you're talking about, you're painting the picture of an ecosystem, right? You're painting a picture of a world that's harsh and foreign, and you do that through enemies that will absolutely rip you if they aggro you, but somehow they don't seem to sense each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of it's a sacrifice probably, or a technical limitation.
They're all friends, man.
Yeah.
And those dinosaurs, they love each other.
Yeah, those brontosaurus things. Yeah. I just to mess around, I messed with one. Absolutely, one hit, just turned around, looked at me, and was like, "You're not worthy.
You're done."
Yeah, you just. So
when's this game come out?
2015, according to Nintendo.
Wait, so
in the US.
Let me check my calendar.
They haven't dropped a date on it. Nintendo seems to hang on to dates until roughly like 3 or 4 months out. Yeah, so they're not going to say anything.
Right? I also think they like to keep their options open. Should another game that they already announced not make it, that they can slide this game in. Like, I mean, we've seen that with Mario Maker and other games too.
That's a good point. And I also think, as much as folks may not agree with this, the more I play this open world game, the more I think delaying Zelda made sense to a degree, because they are going for a very similar thing of being like very big open
but not this is definitely not an action game though.
It isn't, but it's still it's on a scale all its own, but it's still going for that, go off on adventures, set your own goals, meet people along the way and recruit them, and the battle system, which I haven't gone into, I'll quickly sum up. I feel like it is a big improvement over what was in Xenoblade. It's the same system, but rather than Xenoblade had the benefit of the Monado, sort of a mythical sword you have that you're able to see the future with, and so that was a big story element. But then it carried over to gameplay, because in gameplay you could see that, okay, this enemy is about to unleash this very powerful attack and kill a potential teammate. I can stutter or try to stop that. This game has none of that, but instead it rewards a lot. Xenoblade's combat, the original one on Wii, tried to get you to communicate, but it felt like there was still the gap of, well, my partner hasn't done this move yet, so if I do this move, it's not going to be as effective.
Right.
And there was no way to really bridge and have that communication of knowing when they were going to do that easily. This game clears that up. And it's something as simple as just an icon pulses from them telling you, hey, do this move. And if you do the move that they're recommending, you put the enemy in a stun state, or you're following up in some cases on an attack of theirs. The system's called Soul Voice in Japan. I don't know if they keep that here, but I do like how it works. And there is a class system involved as well. Because your character is a blank slate, you have different, like you can specialize in assault weaponry, you can specialize in other areas as well.
Cool.
Which is really dope. And
it sounds like you love it.
I do like it. Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I'm not the reviewer on it. I'm not comparing it to like too many other things, I think, but I do really, I'm enjoying it. Yeah. I just, again, this has all been pieced together. Playing a foreign game is kind of interesting.
And like fun. When you see it running on the Wii U too, like you just when you walk by, you're like, whoa, that's a big world. Like that is definitely the most complex world they've rendered on that machine so far.
Yes.
You know, and it's like, and just seeing the characters run and the speed with which it all moves, it's pretty impressive.
It makes me wonder if they needed 14 gigs to get you to be able to play that seamlessly installed on your system. Is Zelda going to have a install, you know, sort of requirement in order to make that much space work?
Maybe.
I mean, but Xenoblades, just to sort of for that example, you're talking about 5 continents that are huge. I don't know if Zelda's really going for that scale.
Once
hard to see how they compare.
Once the Zelda game arrives on the NX, I think it'll have a big enough hard drive to stream from it.
There we go.
There we go. There you have it.